All right, we will call the June 24th, 2024 session of the Richmond Zoning Board of Review to order. First matter we have to attend to is the approval of minutes of May 20th, 2024. Any issues? No issues?
I'm just not here. Can I vote on that? No.
Yeah,
No,
no.
okay.
I don't know.
Like I said, I'm asking.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 20th, 2024.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. The minutes are approved. That brings us to new business, which is the application of BCB Realty LLC for a special use permit of the town of Richmond at 25 Kenyon School Road, Richmond, Rhode Island. This special use permit would allow the construction of a 7,500 square foot building with associated utilities and parking. Is the applicant here? Yes. Good evening.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
We'll swear you in.
Sure.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth here this evening.
Yes, I do.
Very good.
I'm Jeff Campopiano. I'm the engineer for the project. This is Ben, the owner right here, if you want to swear him in now.
Sure, we'll do the same. Ben, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth
I
here this
do.
evening. Very good. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so as the engineer for this project, we've been leading the charge through all the permitting through the town. We came in a couple of years ago, came in front of the town, actually came in front of the board, the zoning board and the town council to have a zone change, changing this property and a couple other neighboring properties to neighborhood business. Right now, Ben runs his business across the street in the barn. And basically, he bought this property a few years back as a intent to run his business across the street. We came out of the last round of the town preliminarily, and we went to the DEM and gained a wetlands permit and a septic permit for this building. And when we came back to the town, you had introduced the new groundwater protection district regulations, of which we fall into both of the A and B subcategories. We are at like the subcategory A with the public well. There's a 3,000 foot radius on that public well, and we're probably 2,980 feet from it. So we're at the outside limits of that public well. And we also fall within the edges of the recharge area for the aquifer. We're not in the aquifer, but we are in the recharge area. So because we're in those A and B, we came up with we reviewed the regulations and we came up with a plan to mitigate our use. So, the first thing in that plan is to eliminate any uses that would be high hazard. So we don't have any plans on having any uses that are going to have any of the gasoline or you raising your hand?
What is the proposal?
It's a landscaping garage. So basically, Ben runs day-to-day operations at the garage. He does not store materials in his daily operations, in his operations at all. He basically runs things day by day. Accordingly, though, you do understand you will take some things home at the end of the night. So according to your regulations, we have built a containment facility within the building, basically a curbed off area, maybe 10 by 10, with a 6-inch berm, so that all the materials that are brought home at the end of the day will be stored, on shelves within that containment area. That containment area also has a separate drain, which drains to an isolated tank outside the building. That's right out of the regulations, satisfying what needed to be done for, potentially hazardous materials that are brought on site. And those are the same type of materials that someone would have in their house, just some pesticides or some fertilizers to be used right there in the operations of the landscaping business. So like I said, we have a septic system approved. We have a filtering system for the parking lot runoff. So when we did our calculations for the stormwater and nitrogen loading, we had a few systems in play which would minimize that those numbers, those nitrogen loadings, pollutants in other words. And basically this facility, because commercial facility generally of this type is empty all day, will be less of a, a nitrogen impact than a residential home. Basically, we found out in the numbers that we don't even produce 1 milligram per liter, and a residential home would do about 2 milligrams per liter, about 2.5 times as much. That's what it came out to. So the facility is, it's a space frame building, a steel building, with, parking lot in front and landscaping buffering around the building. Like I said, we took care of all the items that were listed within the groundwater protection overlay district. We have both eliminated any uses. We are controlling any allowed materials. We are controlling them within our building. And we have the exterior tank outside the building, and a management practice for the long-term operation of the facility. Inside, there's spill containment materials and packages in case of any emergency. So that's about it. If you want any questions from Ben for operations or me, just let us know.
Yes, so Ben, what's the plan? What do you want to do with it?
I want to just store everything inside.
What's everything?
I got 8 trucks, 7 trailers, and a lot of equipment.
And you have a landscaping business, that's what it is?
Yes.
Okay, what type of equipment?
Excavators, skid steers, mowers, spreaders, handheld equipment.
Is the reason for the parking lot for employees?
Yeah, we have several employees.
How many?
7.
Oh, did you say that? Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said
Well, I said several.
Okay.
so, yeah, but 7.
Okay.
We typically have maybe 5 or 6 cars, because some of them carpool.
So there's a lot across the street outside of these aquifer overlay districts?
No,
Or does the use
Same.
predate the protections provided there?
I guess it would be predated.
I mean, so I'm putting it on the spot, but I'm curious.
But if if somebody proposed something new there,
Then it would.
it's in the same 2.
Yeah.
A and B sub-districts.
You had mentioned a containment inside that went to an outside tank. How will that be dealt with? If we do have runoff going to that outside tank, how is that going to be dealt with?
Okay, so the tank is pretty isolated. So the parking lot, as you see, is on the north side of the building. Actually, the tank doesn't show, that's an older plan right there, but the tank is on the south side of the building, so it doesn't have runoff coming to it. It's basically above its own grade, and it has a pipe coming into it to load it. So runoff isn't coming into its top.
How big of a tank, and what's the plan for remediation should it become?
Correct, it has an alarm on it. I'm pretty sure it's a 500-gallon tank. Let's see, 200-gallon tank, and it has a leak sensor in it, and it has electronics on it to alarm you for the high and low.
Just curious, we can funnel things into a tank, what do we do with it once it gets into the tank?
Correct, yes, so there's, as much as it's gonna be empty most of the time. Actually, I don't even think
Yeah,
it'll ever get 200 gallons, but he will check it, at first every 3 months or something, just to see when it's up, what's up. But
that product that gets into it, where will we get rid of that?
that would be solid waste at the dump.
Okay,
So can you just, for somebody who hasn't been exposed to that before, can you explain to me how that works? I'm envisioning some type of catch basin. Can you just walk me through it?
Correct, so inside the building, we have an area, it's actually 9 by 10, and we have a concrete berm, basically poured, so, if this is it right here, you trip over it to enter into that area.
Image. For them to look at.
We can enter that as an exhibit. We can mark it as exhibit 1.
Yeah, so exhibit 1 would be these storage building details. Do you want me to run upstairs and make
No,
copies? You guys just want to pass them
We
out?
good passing around, guys?
good with that.
I'll give you this one
Is
too.
there an elevation view?
This might also help with that.
Is this 2 pages? All right,
Yes.
so this will be exhibit 2, and this is the preliminary floor plan.
So that shows where it is in relation to the building, and that has some of the more specifics of it. So as you can see on the floor plan, there's a small area designated for this storage. And like I said, there's gonna be a concrete berm constructed so that it will hold any, any spills in that volume. 9 by 9 by 6 inches high is probably 700-800 gallons or something. Not that many.
And the containment area, is that where, what do we store there? Is that where all of this?
Correct, yeah.
Machines are stored?
No, that's where all the products like fertilizer
Oh.
bags or, grease remover, and all the materials will be there. So there's a watertight drain in the bottom of the floor, in that 10 by 10 floor, which leads outside to that tank. And that tank then has alarms and features on it, so you know how full it is and when it might be empty.
So if we're going from a liquid, how are we gonna dispose of it at the town dump or transfer station as a solid?
I'm pretty sure we can call a company that takes care of that.
Okay,
I think even in even in,
Yeah, just-
just wanna make sure.
yes,
Because if it's going in as a liquid and you're planning on getting rid of it locally, how do you make that into a solid to get rid of it there? So,
Correct, I think, vacuum trucks is how they
Yeah.
empty those things.
There's a couple companies that.
Just like a septic.
call.
safety clean,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are there 6 bays here, it looks like? Or
In the garage,
5?
yes.
Yeah. Do you have, like an elevation view or like what it will look like on the outside? I didn't see any in the.
All right, so
Great.
exhibit 3 will be the north and south side elevation views.
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
I can't give them the iPad.
No, but I guess you could show it.
You get them at the package, huh?
When were you with the planning board? Because this was all with us, wasn't it?
This
Right.
one's on the.
And
Wow.
someone called me and they didn't think this meeting was happening until next month. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, we can happen it this month. I'll take all the stuff, she said. And evidently she might have missed the building. If you want to pass this around, you guys can, I trust you. There's another shot of the building. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, they had a lot of images on. So this is what those days.
Wow, that's nice.
It's nice, but you're not gonna see it.
And so we do have the double row of arborvitae's that was requested from the town council on one side, and then we have the buffer with our wetlands, plants, and we like to say berry producing shrubs along the wetlands to help out the critters.
Besides the room where the hazardous materials are gonna be stored, what about fuel? Will that be an issue?
We
No.
carry, we store everything in 5-gallon spill-proof cans.
On site,
Yeah,
and what kind of fuel?
just regular 87, 89 gasoline.
No diesel?
The gas station's right down, like 2 seconds down the road.
On Canis Cross Road, is that where the excavator is right now? That's parked across from where your operation is currently, across the street. Is that where the
That's
excavator
where,
broke through
yeah,
right there?
my
The
excavator.
yellow excavator?
Yellow,
Is
no,
it? Or
it's white,
white?
white excavator.
Okay,
White and red.
okay, so it's a little downhill, it's right close to the road where it looks like you just put
Some stone.
some stone down?
Yes.
That's the
That's it.
location?
Yep, that's the
So
location.
if I'm looking at the excavator, would it be
The building's right to the left
to the left in
Yeah.
that field?
in the field.
No,
Yep.
Yes.
Right there.
it'll be before the knoll.
Yes, we tried to.
Before the knoll.
I saw there's a pond back there or something.
Yes. It was a man-made,
Man-made.
farmer's pond back back in the left.
Okay, currently used or currently water in it?
There is water,
There's
yeah,
water.
yep. Yep, currently used. There's a little stream on the far left side of
It's a
it,
stream fed?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, are you moving your operation from across the street or are you expanding your operation?
I'm just literally moving right across the street.
Do you own the property across the street?
I do.
I think
You're
you're
currently
Oh,
in.
I don't own the property that I'm
Oh, I
currently
see.
in.
you know,
Yeah,
I see. Gotcha.
sorry.
That's okay. Any other questions? The applicant or the engineer, nothing right now? There's no other questions for the applicant and the engineer. Any members of the public have comment or concern or want to address the board in any manner? All right,
I have someone online that would like to speak to the board.
sure.
I've asked you to unmute.
Thank you. Hi, folks. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. My name is Will Morrison. This is my wife, Steph. We live at 61 Sherman Ave, which is plots 23 and 48 on the map in the application. We purchased this property in 2020. It's an old historic home in the neighborhood, originally belonged to Elijah Kenyon, and we've been in the process of restoring it for the past few years. So we wanted to attend this meeting because lot 48, as you can probably see on that map, consists of wetlands and a pond. And so it's basically downhill from where this building would be installed. This pond is a pretty large feature on the property. We've got a lot of wildlife in that area, so obviously we want to ensure that there's no environmental impact that would disrupt the wildlife that's in there. I appreciate the intent in the application of minimizing the environmental impact. Especially appreciate the intent to avoid storing fertilizers and pesticides on site to the extent that is realistic. I just had a few follow-up questions based on what I read in the application. So my first question is just in my general experience, and obviously the experts here can correct this. But part of kind of standard usage when you're applying a pesticide or a herbicide is you put it in a container or something else to apply that chemical to the land. And then at some point, you will probably want to rinse that container out. I did a little research. This residue is called rinsate in technical terms, and it looks like the DEM does classify this as a waste product that can be an environmental hazard based on what the material originally was. So one question that I have for the applicant is how they plan on handling the containers used to apply the herbicides and fertilizers and pesticides, and how the rinsate will be contained and disposed of.
That's a great question. So we do not disperse any chemicals on the property. We have come up with the solution of anytime we ever need to, so say we're spraying insecticide or something, or a herbicide, we'll utilize that tank continuously. We never rinse it out. So we have certain equipment for certain things, and it stays that way throughout our process. Yeah, because I have a pond right on that property, and we don't want to contaminate, you know. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
And another thing is that we don't store fertilizer. We order per application and it gets delivered and then we load it and it's gone. So, you know, we might have a 5 or 10 bag, you know, leftover and that's it.
All right. And that goes in the containment area. So then my second question, I guess, and hopefully the board can explain to me how this works, is you know, Mr. Boulard here has put together an operational plan that includes things like not storing large quantities of material on site. It's got his the way he operates. He doesn't have to rinse these containers out. How do we ensure that if he wins the lottery, decides that he wants to sell his business to somebody else, that the business has to continue to operate under the same plan if it is transferred? And also follow-up question, when I was reviewing the application, there was in the spill contingency plan, there was a note about inspection logs. And this is kind of, how do we ensure that this operational plan is complied to? Will the amounts of material stored on site be logged? And are there any mechanisms in place to ensure compliance with the plan? And sorry, I know that was a lot. I can repeat
If
that.
you're asking me, the engineer, I would say that the regulations and the regulators have that on them to check.
First of all, what plan? I don't have anything.
The whole, you know, protection plan of the overlay district plan. In other words, So not even-
If I could just ask the solicitor, Chris, where we.
Chairman, one thing. Part of the question that Mr. Morrison asked, I want to answer is the subsequent owner, right? Someone who purchases the business if and when Mr. Boulard should sell. And that's an if. That new owner would step into the shoes of Mr. Boulard. So whatever he was allowed to do, they would be allowed to do the same. Nothing more, nothing less. That new owner would be subject to all the same restrictions, but also all the same benefits of the special use permit. And they would also have to comply with the operating plan that he proposed and all state and local regulations, ordinances, etc. So it's not as if once Mr. Boulard sells it, you can do anything you want. That's not the case. That was one part of your question. I'll let the engineer talk to the rest.
and the other part I was saying is Ben, as the owner, will do the reporting, but it would be the town or the government that would be the people that are the checkers. You know, we're gonna, you know, he's not the inspector. There should be someone, I was talking this over with the town planner when she said they wanted to hire a professional to review what I did. I'm like, well, if you can't even understand your own rules, how are you gonna enforce them? So it's basically that the town is going to enforce these.
What's the plan we're talking about? I'm still lost.
This whole new,
So the
the overlay.
town
Yes.
modified a change to its ordinances related to is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Does anybody know? What's that?
the Aquifer overlay district.
Okay, so,
There's more restrictions on it once.
so this isn't a plan that the applicant, when it was presented, it sounded like the applicant had a plan about what he would do with, right,
Well,
complying with the law is what he is in town.
yeah, that's true.
So we had to establish this whole new,
I see.
all
So
the
when
new
it's, when I
things.
hear that it's yours.
Yeah.
Your zone change is what precipitated this?
No, the original zone change only changed it from residential to
Okay.
neighborhood business. But in the meantime, between going through DEM, the town had changed that zone into an overlay water district, which in turn created all these new regulations for us to go
I see.
through.
And I would have to imagine if in regular operation, he does not adhere to one of those requirements in a town ordinance, you'd be hearing from the,
He's subject to Mr. Jordan.
yeah, you'd be hearing from the
Now-
zoning official and the town solicitor.
There was a mention of logs being kept. Who keeps the log?
The owner.
I would have
The owner. And do you submit those automatically to the town, let's say quarterly?
No, they say that they have to be available. So the town will pick a time and date.
So we have to keep-
choose.
So we have to because I'm a licensed applicator in the state of Rhode Island. I have a restricted use license, which means I can spray pretty much anything. And I have to keep logs of all that for them. And occasionally they'll come down and audit us.
Could make it a condition, quarterly logs be turned in.
I mean, that's something, if the board
If
wants
you,
that.
if you.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I understand this right, you're keeping a log of, if I brought in 100 pounds of fertilizer and it's mixed at a 10-to-1 ratio, you have to account where you use that.
Yeah, I have to log everything for the state of Rhode Island, no matter what it is. You know, how much we used, where it went, on what property it went to. So,
If the town asks for those logs, what's his obligation to produce the logs?
Says you have to give
I would have
access.
to give,
Okay.
I'd have to supply you though.
Well, is it supply them or just allow access for someone to come and review? Or do you have to affirmatively bring them, let's say, to the zoning official?
I could do whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I'm less concerned about the mechanics of it. But if a town official wants it, I want them to be able to see it. And
Of
the
course.
question in my mind is there a bite to it? Does he have to do that by town ordinance? I would hope so when that was drafted. Versus a condition here requiring him.
I mean, DEM could show up at any point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone through, we've been in business 22 years. I've gone through several audits with the state of Rhode Island. And they just randomly pick you. They come down and they want to make sure.
That's a fun day.
They want to make sure you're doing everything
Sure.
right, so.
Mr. Jordan, are you aware of whether or not it's a town requirement?
There's,
Produce the logs?
there's something in for the aquifer overlay for certain things. I'm not, right off the top of my head, I don't know. There's certain things for certain uses, use codes. So certain use codes have to do certain things.
Okay.
Whether it's a construction, whether it's landscaping, whether it's self-storage, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can come by at any time, neighbors, you guys, doesn't matter. I mean,
He's already doing it for the state.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is the applicant agreeing that that would be acceptable?
Yeah, I mean, where I'm myself, I'm one member of the board. My only thought is just that if we were to grant this, add as a condition that the applicant shall produce logs upon request of the town. If it's in our ordinance, great, and we're just redundant. If not, then I don't have to worry about it. And frankly, I don't think the town has to worry about getting our hands on what was sprayed when. And it sounds like that's not a problem for you anyway. You'd be willing to.
We have the logs already.
It needs license, I mean.
Yeah,
it would be-
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The gentleman online, does that answer all your questions, sir? Do you and, you mentioned Steph is with you. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, there was just one last component of that. So on page 40 of the application, there's a table that contains the expected amount of the materials used by the landscaping business.
Yeah.
And I was looking to understand, is the applicant required to maintain levels that are approximately close to that as a condition of continued operation? And would that condition, I mean, the solicitor already explained if that such a condition would pass on to a future business owner. But I just want to confirm that that's actually a requirement rather than just how Mr. Brulard chooses to conduct his business.
So one thing I'm hearing from staff is that the application you're referring to was in front of the planning board. I haven't seen any of those materials.
Oh,
But if the applicant wants to address that, the question or the concern.
Yeah, we listed a handful of materials. Like I said, I'm not a warehouse. I'm not bringing in the entire year's worth of product to store. You know, we bring in 2 pallets at a time and like I said, they go out the door.
So was that plan approved by the planning board?
Yes, this was from the planning board meeting and they had approved it. So this was straight from clerk base, not from my computer.
And there's other stuff, I mean, they gotta have grease separators, oil separators for sinks. Any of that stuff, I mean, that's all right in the aquifer overlay thing, so I mean, they have to abide by that.
He's also subject to that planning decision for that plan as well. This is just a special use.
Yeah,
When were you in front of the planning board?
A month ago.
Okay. Do we have a decision from the planning board, a positive recommendation or something like that?
They did approve that plan, but I don't have it on me. Did you or Talia write that one?
Wasn't me.
Was Talia? You guys received it though, right?
Yes,
It did get
yeah.
reported.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on vacation, so I'm backlogged with so many things right now, but
The planning board 1 month ago?
Yeah, you were here.
it was on, oh, I just pulled it up. May 14th, I believe. May 14th, they were in front of the board. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that was the only day they were there. They took care of it on that one day.
Do we have any idea, and the applicant might be able to help, did the planning board suggest any conditions of
No, they were,
just
Yeah.
thumbs up on your way?
they liked it because it was a small, and we responded to the new regulations. We were concise. We did the 3 things that were important. We, eliminated the potential. We controlled any, daily activities, and then the reporting.
Any other comments from the public?
I think I'm all set. I appreciate the patience and the explanations.
Sure, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
I found the a recorded decision. The project description was in it and the property description was in it, but there were no conditions of approval. Just approved the plan.
Any other questions for the applicant, engineer, by the board? All right. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Heard so moved over here, heard second and possibly a third. All in favor? Aye.
Can you just confirm that for me? Who was the first? The first was Red. Which one of you wants to take the second? Jim? Got it.
Insist.
Thank you.
Insist. I'm just kidding. All right, discussion. Where are we at?
I think the biggest thing for me would be the containment, storage runoff, and a plan to remove the runoff. And I feel that's been addressed. To me, that's the biggest.
Sorry.
When you have chemicals, whether it be fertilizer, oleum, any other kind. I think that's been addressed. There is a containment, there's a plan. The fact that the vessels where it's going to be mixed and sprayed are dedicated to that product, so there's no washing those out to mix another product in there. With a little bit of background, when you start mixing chemicals, you create new chemicals out of that. So I think that plan has been, if we stick with that, I think we mitigate as many problems as possible in that regard. So I have no problem with that.
Anybody else, anything to add? You have some, I know you have some.
No, I'm good.
Okay. It sounds like they've done their due diligence to mitigate any issues that could happen. I mean, they have a catch basin. It is the applicant trips and spills some of these chemicals and we
It's
have
already
full-
contained.
full police.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it is, and it seems like a good process.
Plus, since it's been before the planning board and met that criteria, I feel comfortable.
You wanna, you're well versed in this one. You're taking a
Yeah.
shot at it. Your criteria.
No, my brain's frozen.
No, you're
Nick
not really.
You want someone else to
I
write it?
mean, you've got 2 lawyers sitting right here.
No, just one.
Yeah, he's on it.
She just plays one on TV.
Oh, okay.
So
I-
I've already gone through some of your findings of fact.
I'm just
Or what-
thinking aloud of other questions. And I'm drawing two lists in my head saying, well, we have this, no, we've already mitigated over here. My only question would be fire department. But I'm sure as a building inspector, planning, engineering, that's all been mitigated, so we know that should a condition occur, they know right what part of the building to go in.
Well, yeah, it hasn't even gone through that. yet.
Okay,
Yeah, it hasn't, it has to go through this stuff.
yeah, I'm getting
Before they
ahead of
even get
myself
to- yeah.
mentally here
Yeah.
to look at that. So, walk me through with this.
So, finding, you'll make findings of fact about what the applicant told us about.
I
Does it go
forget.
all-
You guys are-
Hold one at a time, one at a time.
Can I ask just one question? Because you
Sure.
asked that. Were you guys the application that's gonna go to the TRC? You are
It
not.
was going to.
You, but they decided not to.
Yep.
There's
No,
no
Oh,
after.
after.
Multi-garage
Oh, yeah.
facility, not us.
Okay, I apologize, because that would have answered that question
Right, yeah.
if that was the case.
Mr. Carter, let me just a suggestion, just on the criteria for the special use permit, maybe just, get the ball rolling. So the first criteria, the proposed use will not substantially or permanently affect the appropriate use of the surrounding property. And so this use, while it's commercial, it is zoned for that use. But you have to establish that the use is not going to alter and affect the appropriate use of the surrounding property. So maybe because it's on storage, they're not actually bringing customers on site. It's not retail. It's really going to be contained within the building. There's going to be traveling to and from the site, that the surrounding uses won't be affected and their appropriate use won't be affected. Right? So part two is neither the proposed use nor its location on the site will result in conditions that will harm the public health, safety, and welfare. And I think you already addressed that quite nicely in your discussion. We can make that part of the finding of fact, and you did a very nice job with that. Number three, the proposed use will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this title. In fact, the town council had changed that zone to allow for, was it mixed business? Yeah, mixed business. So that was allowed by the town council. And then section B of the special use permit. These are things that you may consider, and you can throw these in too. Potential environmental effects of proposed use on the surrounding property in the town. Maybe, just as you articulated, there won't be all going to be self-contained. And the engineering that's been provided both to the planning board and tonight to the zoning board about the containment tank, the 200-gallon containment tank, the 8x10 area where the hazardous materials will be stored. And then the impacts on traffic circulation and safety. Ms. Hannon had discussed how many employees there were, I think 6 and seven, and the parking was only going to be used for them. So it's not customers. So the traffic generation will be minimal. 7, maybe 7 cars going in the morning and coming out at night, minimal for that. Odors, noise. The machinery is going to be used off-site, so the noise is not an issue. Odors are contained within the building, so maybe you've hit all the criteria there. So that would be kind of the outline of a potential finding of fact. You could certainly, if you find that those things are adequate, you could incorporate that into your. I kind of did.
Do everything you just.
I kind of did, but I wanted,
Yeah,
so you get that. You had this health, safety, and welfare nailed. Just do the same thing for the rest.
okay. So the proposed use, do I need to start out with who we are dealing with?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get my, hang on, I don't do this all the time. There it is. Okay, the applicant BCB Realty LLC, special use permit. 7,500 square foot building with associated utilities and parking. Let's see, located at 25 Kenyon School Road in Richmond, Rhode Island. Just for sake of reference, 02875. The applicant for special use permit has demonstrated to the satisfaction of the zoning board of review that 1, the proposed use of this special use permit will not substantially or permanently harm the appropriate use or surrounding property or that area.
So you'll see why that.
And now say why, all those things you talked about.
Okay, we have a wash basin inside with a containment area. I believe that was quoted as 9 by 7, 10 by 7.
9 by 10.
9 by 10, okay. I just want to make sure that's clear. With a curbing to prevent spillage outside of that and a containment vessel with an alarm system and a monitoring device to keep track of that.
You might also mention the logs that'll be kept.
Yep.
the hazardous materials.
Sorry. The proprietor of the property will be keeping logs as per his permits as a pesticides.
Yeah, Rhode Island, DEM.
Rhode Island DEM.
License,
Okay.
pesticide app.
So Rhode Island DEM logs will be kept and available on request to both DEM and the town of Richmond, Rhode Island representatives. Item number 2, neither the proposed use nor its location on the site will result in conditions that will harm the public health, safety, or welfare. Everything is contained within the building. There is not a large amount that will be stored within the property. And no work will be done on the property other than transfer of those materials from pallets onto vehicles to leave the property for use. Number 3, the proposed use will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this title.
This is where the solicitor suggested, the town council.
Yep, okay. Planning board and town council have already given their blessings on this. And therefore, the zoning board does not see any reason to deny this request.
And then there's section B.
Section B, sorry. Okay.
Yep, that's true. That's
In determining whether the proposed use will satisfy the criteria in subsection A of the zoning board of review may consider item number 1, the potential environmental effects of the proposed use on the surrounding property and the town. We feel that these have been mitigated with a 9 by 10 washdown pit, containment system with monitoring. The potential impact of the proposed use on traffic circulation with less than 10 vehicles on the site. There is no real reason for traffic issues. And number 3, whether the proposed use will generate noise, odor, or other effects that cannot be mitigated by the imposition of conditions or safeguards. We were assured that all work will be done within the building, therefore mitigating any outside noise, smells, or anything like that.
I don't know if you said it, you make a motion, but that would be your motion, correct?
Yes,
Is there a second in favor?
And that was a motion. Was that a motion to approve?
that is a motion to approve.
Is there a second? There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a long road.
Good luck.
You guys are easier than the planning.
All right, that brings us up. That brings us to item E on our agenda, which is the adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guess who's?